A violent tornado has torn across parts of eastern Wisconsin, leaving behind a trail of destruction through communities near Appleton, Menasha, and the Fox Valley. At Well Logistics in Appleton, workers watched the storm intensify as powerful winds moved closer. With the situation becoming increasingly dangerous, employees shut down equipment and headed for shelter. Moments later, the tornado struck. The sound was overwhelming. Winds roared through the area. Debris flew across parking lots, and parts of nearby buildings began to fail under the force of the storm. Despite the destruction, one message stood out from those who survived the terrifying experience. Everyone made it out alive. Across Appleton, neighborhoods were hit hard. Powerful winds tore sections of roofs from homes, shattered windows, damaged exterior walls, and scattered debris across streets and yards. In some areas, entire sections of buildings were left exposed to the sky. Families emerged from basements and storm shelters to find homes damaged, vehicles buried beneath debris, and familiar neighborhoods transformed in only a matter of minutes. Many residents immediately began recording the destruction for insurance purposes while checking on relatives, friends, and neighbors. For some, the damage was difficult to process.
Down the hatches.
Funnel cloud right there.
Huh?
Funnel cloud right there.
Tony's bar. There's Manderfields gone.
A home that had stood for decades could suddenly be missing part of its roof. Trees had been snapped or uprooted. Fences were destroyed, and household belongings were scattered far from where they belonged. Commercial areas also suffered major losses. Warehouses, retail stores, industrial buildings, and other businesses were damaged as the tornado moved through the region. Some facilities experienced roof collapses, broken walls, damaged equipment, and debris spread across loading areas and parking lots. At several businesses, operations came to an immediate stop. Employees shut down machinery, evacuated work areas, and moved into safer parts of their buildings as tornado warnings were issued. After the storm passed, many returned outside to scenes they never expected to see. Vehicles had been damaged, signs were torn down, parts of buildings were missing, and debris covered the ground. In nearby Menasha, the destruction was also severe. The tornado moved through residential neighborhoods, damaging homes and apartment buildings, while leaving streets covered with fallen trees, broken construction materials, and personal belongings.
Pretty scary turning the gas.
I got it on. Nos destrozó el tornado. Nos destrozó el tornado. Miren nomás cómo nos dejó. Miren nomás cómo nos dejó el tornado aquí. Estamos en medio de la tormenta. Dios que nos...
Oh my God.
This is our hotel. This is the Howard Johnson.
Watch out for nails, Dave.
Thank you. Oh my.
I know the white car.
Some residents found that vehicles were overturned or crushed by debris. Others discovered that large trees had fallen directly onto homes, garages, and parked cars. Commercial properties throughout the area also faced extensive damage. Storefront windows were shattered, warehouse structures were affected, signs had collapsed, and several commercial properties were forced to close until engineers and safety inspectors could determine whether the buildings were safe to enter. The storm's path appears to have begun near Lake Winnebago before moving into nearby communities. As the tornado crossed the region, intense winds carried debris over long distances and caused damage across multiple counties. People who witnessed the storm described rapidly changing skies, powerful wind, and a visible rotation that made it clear the situation was becoming dangerous. In several videos, the sky appeared dark and unusually green as the storm intensified. Residents watched funnel clouds form while emergency alerts urged people to get indoors immediately.
For many, there was little time to react. Some rushed into basements, others sheltered inside interior rooms or moved away from windows as the tornado approached. Then came the sound.
Can you imagine falling on the roof?
A deep, continuous roar filled the air as the storm passed overhead. When it was over, people stepped outside and realized just how much damage had occurred. Southern Outagamie County experienced widespread destruction as homes, farms, and commercial properties were struck by the storm. Emergency crews began moving through affected areas, checking buildings, helping residents, and identifying locations where immediate assistance was needed. In eastern Winnebago County, numerous homes and outbuildings were damaged. Roads became blocked by fallen trees, broken utility poles, and scattered debris, making it difficult for emergency vehicles to reach some neighborhoods. Thousands of trees were snapped, uprooted, or stripped of major branches. Many landed on vehicles, damaged homes, and blocked roads. The widespread tree damage created dangerous conditions throughout the region and slowed efforts to restore access to affected communities. Utility systems were also heavily impacted. Power poles collapsed, electrical lines were damaged, and equipment failed in several areas. Large numbers of customers lost electricity as crews worked to identify damaged infrastructure and begin repairs. Traffic signals stopped operating at multiple intersections, creating additional challenges for drivers and emergency responders. Officials redirected traffic away from blocked roads while crews worked to clear debris and reopen important routes. In some locations, damaged utility systems created additional safety concerns. Reports of possible gas leaks led emergency teams to secure affected areas and move residents away from potential danger. Firefighters, police, medical teams, and other emergency personnel began searching damaged homes and businesses to make sure no one was trapped beneath collapsed structures. Rescue operations continued as crews carefully inspected unstable buildings and responded to calls for help. For families whose homes were no longer safe to live in, emergency shelters opened across the region. Displaced residents received temporary housing, food, medical support, and other essential services. Meanwhile, road crews worked around the clock.
They removed fallen trees, damaged power poles, roofing materials, broken glass, and other debris from streets. Slowly, access was restored to neighborhoods that had been cut off by the storm.
Cars.
The damage to vehicles showed just how powerful the tornado had been. Some cars were overturned, others were crushed by trees or struck by flying debris. Across affected streets, damaged vehicles became visible reminders of the force that had moved through the region. Industrial facilities also suffered major losses. Production buildings, storage areas, loading zones, and equipment were damaged, forcing some companies to suspend operations. Before work can resume, many facilities will require detailed safety inspections and extensive repairs. Local officials are now conducting damage assessments throughout the affected communities. Teams are documenting destroyed homes, damaged infrastructure, business losses, and the overall impact of the tornado. But while the full scale of the destruction is still being measured, the recovery process has already begun. Residents are checking on neighbors. Volunteers are helping remove debris. Businesses are assessing damage and planning how to reopen. Utility crews are working to restore power, and emergency teams remain focused on protecting the communities affected by the storm.
This is crazy.
For many people across the Fox Valley, recovery will take time. Homes will need to be repaired or rebuilt. Businesses will have to recover from major losses. Roads, power systems, and other infrastructure will require extensive work. But through the destruction, stories of survival are beginning to emerge. People helped strangers reach safety. Workers looked after one another. Neighbors came together to support families who had lost homes or suffered major damage. At Well Logistics and across the surrounding communities, the tornado left behind scenes of extraordinary destruction. But amid the broken buildings, damaged vehicles, and debris-covered streets, one fact remains especially important. People survived. The road ahead will be difficult, and recovery may take months or even longer. But communities across Appleton, Menasha, and the Fox Valley are beginning the work of rebuilding, one neighborhood, one business, and one family at a time. This was a powerful reminder of how quickly severe weather can change everything. And for the people who lived through it, the tornado is more than a news event. It is a moment they will never forget.